So today we're covering how to get accountable for your porn habit in a way that is easy, smooth, not super intimidating as you think it might be. Today we're going to cover 4 levels of accountability. I'm going to cover the main pitfalls for where people fail with getting accountability for their porn habit. And also, this is part of the 7-stage process for beating porn and having control over your life, getting control of everything, and winning at this NoFap thing. So I'm going to give you that full video at the end of this video about how to succeed with those 7 steps. So let's jump right into it. So you might be thinking, accountability, I don't want accountability. I don't need accountability. Guys, 100% of the men that succeed with porn recovery are exactly where you are right now. You've been doing this alone for a long time and you are just not seeing success, right? The chances are, if you're watching this, you haven't been seeing success doing it alone. So this is how to do it. You got to start by telling somebody about it. The main pitfall that people fall into is they jump straight to level 4. And level 4 says self accountability. Self accountability is the ultimate goal. It's what you want. It's the thing that's going to keep you going long term in your life with recovery. However, if you jump straight to there without experiencing the first levels, the first tiers of accountability, what you're left with is exactly where you're right now. You just can't have control over it. You can go a certain number of days or weeks or months even, but then you fall in the deep end because you haven't created a system. You haven't created a community. Remember this quote, guys. Addiction is born in secrecy and it dies in connection. It requires connectivity, connection. But I'm going to tell you how to do this without going straight to tell your spouse, tell your wife, which is what a lot of people say, tell your partner, tell your parents, tell the people closest to you. That's level 3, and we'll get to that. But the reason that doesn't work is if you jump straight to telling the person closest to you, you haven't developed a habit of accountability. You haven't developed a certain self-awareness that is required in order for you to have long-term recovery. So what happens is that you tell your spouse, you tell your parents. Most times the people closest to us are the worst accountability partners. That's the truth. It's because, number 1, they haven't experienced it themselves. Number 2, your porn habit is often way too emotional. It's way too close to home for them to know how to deal with it. And it's very stressful because your spouse, your partner doesn't know how to help you. And many times they feel it's their responsibility to support you on their journey, where in fact, it's really nothing to do with them. Your habit is something that you brought into your life through your own will and through your own decision. It's not their job. It's not their responsibility to fix you. And oftentimes they feel that. So you have to come to the court with the first foundations. And let's get into that, okay? The first level of this is tell anybody, tell somebody, tell a person, okay? This is actually very easy to do. And this entire stage of the 7-stage process can be done in as little as 1 day, what I've seen. So you can really just sprint for it. Do it in a day, is tell anyone. Okay, so who do you tell? You have to think back to anyone in your life that let me backtrack a little bit. If you're watching this, let me address this question. Why do you need accountability? Why is it that accountability is needed? Because oftentimes when I say this to people, like, you should get accountability, they run away and they hide away because I'm not going to tell anybody. I can't tell them. No one will understand me. Guys, like we've said, keep saying 98% of men are struggling with porn as we speak. So it's kind of weird that we're not talking about it. It's kind of weird that we're not telling people. So why do we need to tell people? Number 1, when you tell somebody, it will instantly, I'm talking instantly, guys, it will instantly send a very strong signal to your brain, to your body, to your habit, to your mind, that you're serious about this porn thing. You're taking a stance. You're changing the trajectory of your recovery. You're doing something about it. You're taking a different direction. That strong signal will place an identifiable point in time in your life where you got serious, when you decided to get serious, when you decided that business is not as usual and things are going to change. That point in time is really important for your recovery because it's a place that you can go back to. It's a feeling that you can recall on your journey that you got serious about it, where you told somebody. All right. The second reason why telling somebody is so important is because, well, how has doing it by yourself, just willing yourself through quitting porn, how's that going for you? Like, honestly, how's it going for you? Do you honestly think that you can maintain a long-term recovery process your entire life, and not bring your porn habit with you into your future, into your career, into your family, into your relationships, into your marriage, into your parenting? Can you honestly say that you can do that by yourself? Chances are no. Okay. You can't. So those are the two reasons why we need accountability. All right. So let's move on. So when you tell anyone that you recall from uh, that you've had a conversation with about porn. Maybe somebody brought this up with you in the past. Maybe it's someone, maybe it is a relative, like an uncle or a friend or your parents. Maybe it is someone from school. Maybe it is someone from a workshop or a church or from your community or your circle of people. Maybe there's someone in your life. You identify that person. Ideally, the person has these qualities. There's someone that you trust. There's someone that you respect, and there's someone that is a little ahead of you on their journey to porn recovery. Okay. That you trust them, you respect them, and they're a little bit ahead of you. If you find that person might be the person that drags you out of the ditches, that drags you out of the jungle and lets you see clearly what you need to do with your life. So for me in my own journey, it was a friend. It was a guy that I grew up with, that I spent a lot of time with in my childhood, someone that I really trust, respect. And I knew he brought this conversation up one time while we were in the car. He said, he was like, yeah, I'm battling porn. And I started doing this thing and it helped me. And I was like, okay, that's weird that he brought that up. And then I remembered it years later that he brought that up. And I was like, he's my guy. I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to tell him. And I just said, hey, dude, like, this porn thing, we talked about it before. I'm struggling with it. Could you just be accountable to me? Can I just be accountable to you? And can we touch base like once a week? And when I'm really struggling, can we just have that conversation? And guys, this was the one thing that I need to do that really set me on this path to eternal, lifelong, long-term recovery. So when you find this person, that's the person that's gonna take you through the rest of the levels. Okay, so level 2 is a weekly check-in. All right. So once you found a identifiable person that you can have this conversation with, that you can have on your team, on your court, you can have a weekly check-in. This is critical. What we found in my own mentoring is that it's not even a daily thing that's needed. If you can do it daily, that's great, but it's really a weekly, really intentional conversation, face to face or by, Zoom or virtually or over the phone, just a conversation. What is the format? You sit down for like 20, 30 minutes. And what do you talk about? You talk about your week. Specifically, how has porn been in your life this week? Did you have victory? Did you slip up? Importantly, not just yes, no, I slipped up or not. Importantly, if you did slip up, what led you to slipping up? What were the habits, the behaviors that led you to that point where you slipped up? It's a learning experience. You have to week by week learn from your experiences and grow from them. If you didn't slip up, this is also equally important. If you had a good week, what was it that kept you there? What was it that kept your energy level up, your motivation up? What was it about that week that you can identify helped you? And how do you replicate that in the following weeks? Okay. So this is the weekly check in. Again, like I said before, when you build this habit of checking in with somebody and stop battling it in just your head, guys, you can't be thinking about your porn habit in your own head anymore. You can't battle it with just yourself. You've got to take it out in the open. But once you do that, once you have this conversation, then you will start to be serious about it. This is fundamentally what it takes to beat porn. You've got to be so intensely serious that you're willing to have a conversation with a human being. If you're unwilling to talk to even one soul on God's green earth about your porn habit, you are not going to give it up. Why? Because you're just not serious enough. The seriousness is not there. It's to match the willingness, the effort that it's going to take to beat the porn habit. All right. So you tell somebody level 1, you start a weekly check-in with that person. And then finally, when you're ready, guys, you tell somebody. Why is it that it's important to tell someone? I say all the time on this channel, guys, I don't know why we're so ashamed of this. Honestly, when we look at the statistics about porn use in our culture, there's one study that Psychology Today did of 1,036 individuals from different walks of life, men and women, found that 98% of men in that study watched porn in the last 6 months. 98%. And of women, 73% of women watched porn in the last 6 months. Okay. So with those staggering statistics, it is weird that we don't talk about porn. It is strange that we don't talk about porn. It is strange in our families that our parents, our spouses don't talk about it openly. It's weird. It actually is. It's a dark secret and we can't live like this anymore. So why am I saying this? Because when you realize how common this thing is and how prevalent it is, you should actually be proud. If you, my friends, are the very, very small percentage of people on planet Earth that are doing something about your porn habit, that is serious about getting better, is serious about getting accountability, then you should be proud. I'm proud of you. You should be proud that you're willing to do something about this, where the rest of humanity is just going to sit on their hands and wait for some miracle to get rid of this porn habit. But you guys, when you get this in check, when you get accountability, you will have unstoppable force, confidence, energy, and power in your life to do incredible things. All right. So that brings us to, okay, level 3. Let's stay on that for a second. So if you're in a relationship, I do think it's important to tell a spouse, because the people closest to us, why? The people closest to us should know that, to the extent that it's a habit that you're dealing with and that you're getting better. That's really as much as they need to know. They don't need to be your daily or weekly check-in accountability partner. They don't need to be the person that holds your hand and walks you through this porn habit. Why? Because it's 9 times out of 10, it's way too stressful and difficult for them to do, especially spouses, because they feel a certain attachment to you. They feel a certain responsibility, and chances are they don't know what it's like to have a porn habit and addiction. Okay. So they don't need to be the accountability partner. They don't need to be the person that you just go to every day or every week and say, "Oh, I'm struggling. What do I do?" Just letting you know this. That's different. But they do need to know the extent of, it's a habit that you have and that you're dealing with it. Okay. That's really all they need to know. If they want to ask you more questions, they're free to do that and they can know more about that. But really, that's the extent of it. I want to go back to the second point for just a second: weekly check in. A really, really cool trick that ties in both of these things is that you can, this is very revolutionary actually, and will blow your mind. You can have a weekly check in with the people closest to you without even talking about porn. Okay. Why? Because when you think about it, your porn habit has nothing to do with porn itself, actually. This is what I talk a lot about on this channel. Your porn habit has nothing to do with porn and has everything to do with the root cause of why you watch porn, which is emotional instability, which is you are experiencing what studies have shown. In most cases, people use porn for stress and anxiety, frustration, depression, boredom, difficult emotions, right? That's the key here. If you can build the habit around addressing difficult emotions and how to alleviate those emotions in a productive way and not a destructive way, then you can talk about porn with the people closest to you on a weekly basis without actually addressing porn. This is what I did with my spouse, right? And you can do this too. Say, "Hey, honey, you know how I get really stressed out with work, or I get really stressed out when we're fighting, and I know I don't know how to deal with those emotions productively, so I just bottle it up, and then I become really angry. Well, I'm just letting you know that today I was really stressed out, and I'm just letting you know why that is. And this is how you're dealing with your negative emotions without talking about porn, because it has nothing to do with porn. If you're in a place where you really don't have anybody to check in with, you can create a habit of checking in with the people closest to you, anyone at all that is willing to listen to you and have that conversation about how you can reflect and be reflective and introspective, so that you can understand the root causes of why you watch porn and address those. Like I said before, the purpose of this weekly check-in is to understand your negative emotions, understand your emotional state, and have self-awareness so that you can beat porn. Guys, there is a reason, remember this, there is a reason that some people are more susceptible to addictions than other people. There is a reason that some people, typically men, more than women, typically, generally speaking, are more susceptible than women to addictions and bad habits, is because some people don't know how to release negative emotions in a productive way. Instead, they bottle it up and they go to addiction, they go to anger, they go to other sources, right? But people who understand how to have conversation, how to communicate their emotions, whether it's stress, anxiety, frustration, depression, boredom, in a productive way, those people have victory. And that is fundamentally what it takes to be porn. When the rubber hits the road, this is where it counts. In those moments of intense stress, when you're just frustrated out of your mind because you're fighting with someone, because you're stressed with work, this is where it counts. How do you deal with that emotion in a productive way? If you develop the habit of checking in with yourself, checking in with somebody, getting accountable, then you will have victory. Okay, so after you have told a loved one about this, that they know you have the habit, that you're getting better, that you're doing something about it, that you're subscribed to this YouTube channel, right? Hit the like button if this is for you. um, Yeah, seriously, hit the like button if this is valuable for you guys because it does help spread it to other men that probably need this content, and it really helps me out a lot. Thank you. Level 4 is the self accountability. Ultimately, you want to come to a place where your vision, your values, and your action align. Your mind and your body are aligned. Your heart and your body are aligned. Your actions reflect where you want to go in your life. So you don't need the accountability process in order to actualize accountability and long term recovery. This is the end goal, but you can't get there because you've been doing this, trying to do this. You've been trying to jump the gun straight to level 4 to do it by yourself, but you've been unsuccessful. Why? Because you haven't built the habit of checking in, not even with yourself, checking in with a human being, letting it out in the open, getting accountable. And when you do that, you will see the bigger picture of how to do this. Guys, this is part of one of the stages of the 7-stage process for beating porn. I'm going to give that video to you in just a second. This process can take as little as 1 day. That might not seem like a lot of time, but I think that if you can do level 1, level 2 in 1 day, you will just see this as like a sprint for your life. I want you guys, when you're thinking about recovery, think about it like 28 days. That's really all it takes to really focus intensely, beat the habit, and recover for good if you do the things that I'm going to talk about. The video that outlines the 7-stage process, I'm going to put it right down in the description. I'm also going to put it right here for you guys to check out. And that process is going to lay out the first step to recovery, which is to get serious about your recovery. And that is critical. Why is it that the first step is always to get serious about your porn habit? Because guys, you won't do any of this. I know you. I know the habit. You won't do any of this if you don't understand serious. If you don't understand how porn is impacting your life and that you get serious about it, then you will automatically want to tell somebody. You will automatically want to do all of this stuff. Okay. So that video is going to be right here again and also in the description. It's good to have you guys. I love you all. Thanks for watching. Take care.